Well, joining us now is Polly Brooks, who was there in Bali on that fateful night, and Claudia Jessie, who plays Polly in that brand new drama that we saw a clip of. Welcome both.
Hi.
My goodness, so this was nearly 20 years ago. It's hard to believe. I remember it very well. And over 200 people lost their lives. Lots of those people, sadly, were your friends and your brand new husband, Polly. Can you just tell us what happened on that night, what you remember?
Well, as you mentioned, it's over 20 years ago now, and you know, it was just a normal sort of night out on a rugby tour, right? Like anyone goes out, you know, in your 20s to a bar, and we'd been out for dinner and, like normal, headed to the Sari Club, which was one of the main expat bars in Bali, and sadly for me, the boys headed off from the restaurant and the girls, we powdered our noses, as you do, and we arrived a little bit later. And I walked into the club, and my husband, newlywed, 5 weeks down, yeah, he turned to me and said, "Oh, babe, do you want a drink?" And I was like, "Oh, actually, I'm like a bit full. I fancy a dance." So I said to the girls, "Let's go onto the dance floor." So we sort of headed in through, and it's like a straw, sort of like roofed club, and we pushed onto the dance floor. And we literally started dancing when the first bomb went off. And that was the bomb in Paddy's bar.
Oh, gosh.
Wow.
And I think someone said, "Oh, my gosh, it's a gas explosion." And then there was a massive explosion, and that later turned out to be like a van that was parked outside the bar, and literally the whole place went up. I was thrown up into the air and tossed to the ground.
Goodness. And so the dance floor and the bar presumably were far enough apart then that what saved you, was it?
Yeah, so unfortunately all the boys by the bar didn't stand a chance in the end, and the girls, I mean, I was next to Tina and Annika. Annika was my bridesmaid on the dance floor like this, and I was the only one that made it out alive.
Gosh, when you just think your life started and, you know, and then that.
Yeah, so it was a bit like, you know, I just got married, so 5 weeks later we were living the dream in Asia, and my late husband was a lawyer and I was working for a bank, and, you know, we were just on top of the world, and yeah, suddenly your whole world falls apart. And, you know, at the time we didn't know it was a terrorist attack. We thought it was a gas explosion. And for a little while I had some hope that the others had survived, because somehow I managed to pull myself up and I managed to, you know, I was on fire, but someone put me out. And somehow I managed to stay alive. But unfortunately, little by little in hospital, I found out one by one that everyone else hadn't made it. So.
It is such a devastating story, and I'm just watching there, you retell it and look over to Claudia, who's obviously playing you in this story. It's almost like you share that bond now of knowing it. But Claudia, for you, I mean, how did you approach the role?
Sensitively. I was aware, you know, it's rare, it certainly has been in my career anyway, to play true life. It's been fictional, and, you know, you work really hard to bring something to life, but knowing something has already been, it's fact, it's sort of, yeah, sensitive. But we were able to speak over Zoom. It was still quite a shut-down, lockdown sort of situation. But we ended up speaking for, like, I felt like it was, like, 2 hours. We got along really, really quickly.
We had a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
But it's incredible, right? Tonight's the first time you guys have ever actually met in person.
Yeah.
Oh, this is
We're so excited to meet each other, aren't we? Yeah, really are.
We've been really excited. But, yeah, so I think we spent ages talking. I was conscious that I understand that Polly has had to speak about this over and over for years, and, you know, 20 years. No, I just wanted to make sure I knew what she wanted to see and what she didn't want to see, and that's what we had a shared agreement between the two of us, really, that was what I wanted to be as sensitive as possible.
I remember you saying that you wanted to capture my spirit, to, you know, to portray me in the best way possible. And one of the wonderful things about the production, and I know there are lots of people who have their opinions on whether you should cover real-life stories, but it is part of history, and I felt that it probably happened whether I got involved or not, and at least by getting involved I was able to give my personality across to Claudia, and I think she brought that really, really well to the series.
Yeah, it's nice to have a bit of ownership.
This is a very sad story, but, you know, I'm full of life. Those who know me know that I'm full of life as well, so...
And then how did it feel? Because, you know, obviously you saw the finished product. How was it watching that and seeing Claudia play yourself and sort of reliving it all over again?
So it was hard, I have to admit. So we were sent a link from Australia before it was launched, and actually I didn't get the nerve up to watch it before the link expired. So we just, my fiancé and I, we sat down, we were ready to watch it, and then the link didn't work because I didn't realise it had a deadline on it. So that was a bit of a disappointment. And then I had to go back to them, and they sent me a new link, and we watched it. And, you know, it's a bit like, it's quite surreal watching someone play your life, and it's pretty accurate, but not totally accurate. So I'm just there going, well, that's not quite true, blah, blah, blah. But also, like, you know, for me, there were wider stories going on that perhaps I knew bits about, but not all about. But I have to admit, it's not great waiting for the big moment, which I don't want to say too much to spoil it for everyone. But there's a couple of the episodes that I'm more prominent in, I would say. And they were obviously much harder to watch. Then there was a bit of relief in the middle where I could relax a bit. But I'm glad it's been done. I was glad I was involved, and Claudia did a great job. So.
Yeah, and it's nice, and we're glad to say that obviously you have met somebody, you've got children, life has moved on, but hard still to watch that, I'm sure, as you say. There's your children.
Ah, there they are.
It's an incredible story.
It is. All 4 episodes of Bali 2002 are released on ITVx next Thursday, March the 16th. Thank you.
Thanks so much, guys.